Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Community Starcraft 2, and today's video is going to be a pro game between these two men that just typed in chat. It's going to be between the Green Zerg EG'Idra, EG standing for Evil Geniuses, versus EG'Demuslim. So it's going to be a teammate fight, probably just for some practice here and there. But if you follow all the podcasts and stuff, you'd notice that if you've heard anything from Idra lately anyway, regarding this matchup, ZVT, that is that Demuslim's ZVT is actually amazing, and that's because he knows how to incorporate ghosts into his army. So this should be a extremely good match. Demuslim has really been rising compared to where he was a while ago after all of his surgeries and injuries and stuff like that. Idra, of course, is kind of back on top of his game. He faded out there for just a little bit, but he came back and won IEM in China, so that was a very big victory for him after being written off by a lot of people. Interestingly enough, here in the game, Demuslim is actually going gas first, so this is probably going to be a really fast tech play. I would imagine the barracks is going to come down here as soon as he can afford it, probably on 13 supply, and then right after that the factory should have enough gas to start almost immediately. So Idra will be hatching first, more than likely, considering he's now at 15 supply and has not shown a spawning pool yet. Idra loves to hatch first, and he's definitely going to be able to do it on this huge map, which is Tal'Darim Altar. They did spawn here in the closest positions possible, which it's actually good for Idra, because if you're running something like Marine Tank can get set up right over here, and it can shell the natural expansion and deny this mining from this geyser, even kill a bunch of workers if you don't run them away. Whereas Demuslim now has a more direct route to Idra's base, right where the base of Idra's ramp would be. So these spawn positions actually help Idra out quite a bit, as opposed to if Demuslim actually spawned here, and to a lesser extent if Demuslim actually spawned on the cross spawn. I don't think either player has even scouted to see where the other one is. As we can see, Demuslim scout is now running around. He's on the complete wrong side of the map, as we can see, and Idra, I believe, also has not seen anything. Okay, his Overlord is now showing up, so here's a factory coming down. Right after that, it looks like it's going to be just a reactor Hellion expand, which is so overly normal right now in the metagame for this matchup. The reason being so that Terran can put out 2 to 4 Hellions just to control the map, push Zerglings away, get a lot of scouting information, and kind of just keep the Zerg contained in their base for a little bit until they get roaches or a lot of speed Zerglings out to deny those Hellions. So we'll see how those Hellions come into play, but behind this, Idra's just making a few Zerglings here and there. One Spine Crawler is going to go down the front door, which is going to be very wise considering he did see the reactor coming down and he did see the factory being built right next to it. A couple of Hellions should start here in just a second as soon as Demuslim gets the money for it. And there he goes, he does get the second. Here comes the command center. As we can see, Demuslim expanding at a hidden expansion here at the top of the map. So this is quite unusual, and these Hellions are going to be able to do nice scouting for quite a while. He could even sneak in a command center here at his main, which I don't know if that's what he's planning on doing, but that's quite a smart idea if Idra does not scout this. These two Zerglings just coincidentally are running right toward it. This could wind up being really bad for Demuslim, but the Zerglings, oh, if only you knew what was lying up here, you would put Demuslim in a terrible position. So Demuslim kind of taking a huge risk here, trying to just mess with his teammate, considering they're probably so familiar with fighting each other. He has to do weird stuff like this. And there he goes. He actually does throw down the command center at the natural. So Idra's going to come in here and see the command center and be like, okay, well, this is fairly normal timing. The two Hellions are now out. They're going to be bugging Idra just a little bit. Demuslim checking for a super fast third, which is not there. He's going to come up here. He will get denied by that Spine Crawler quite a bit, so I think he knows that. He's just going to go home. There are a couple Zerglings here at Demuslim's front door. The Zerglings will die, and this SCV is able to actually get away. Demuslim does deny scouting into the main from the Zergling. If the Zergling got in here, this is a little bit suspicious to not have anything else thrown up right now. So Idra could be onto him if he did get in there and scout, but nice little play to raise the supply depot and keep that Zergling out to the best of his ability. In terms of income, right now it's 37 to 22 favoring Idra, but once Demuslim gets that third base rolling, he's going to have a ton of mules. It is going to be an orbital command, as we can see it coming up here. So yeah, Demuslim's income is really going to skyrocket here pretty soon. And if he has this many minerals and that many mules, You'd figure a big Marine transition would be coming, and there's another barracks sitting on top of this reactor. Stim is on the way, and I would imagine Marine Shields is going to follow that. These Hellions on the weirdest patrol here. You can see them just kind of bumping into each other constantly. Not really doing anything very useful, but being on a patrol and covering, I guess, a slightly larger area than normal. That's weird, the Muslim. I don't know what you're doing. So here comes the extra mule production. We should see the Muslim's mineral income really skyrocket in comparison to how far behind he actually is in workers. So he will catch up rather quickly. Baneling's nest is now coming down here for EG'Idra, as we can see it growing up here in the back of EG'Idra's base. Looks like an evolution chamber is right here as well, so that he can get any sort of upgrades that he might want to get on his Zerglings here fairly early on, but he's not started anything yet. He's now going to be mining off of all 4 of his geysers. The longer EG'Idra goes without scouting this base up here, the further and further he's going to fall behind. EG'Demuslim now is on a lot of barracks. There's 5 barracks coming out of EG'Demuslim right now. He does have siege mode coming up. He's going to be on 1 factory siege tank, so he's not actually mining gas at any of these expansions quite yet, and the Overlord can see that. So if he sees there's no gas being mined, he might just, jump to conclusions and say it's either one of 2 things. It's either going to be a lot of Hellions, or it's going to be a lot of Marines, and both of them are really hard for Zerg to deal with. EG'Idra now being very bold, putting his Overlord out there, trying to start spreading creep. As you can see, that Queen also pooping out some more creep. EG'Idra looks like he wants to take his third, but these Hellions will bother it just a little bit. Here come the Hellions and the Zerglings engaging. A couple of Zerglings get roasted up for free. These Hellions having a pretty fun time. Banding speed is now on the way, as well as +1 melee attacks. The Spire is almost done as well, so EG'Idra on a very normal pace, but playing pretty conservatively, not taking a super fast third, even though he hasn't seen a ton of units out of EG'Demuslim right now, considering it's almost 10 minutes, and all you have is 2 tanks, and a handful of Marines, and 4 red Hellions here at your front door. Red Flame Hellions, that is. EG'Idra smartly canceling his creep tumor here, so that the Hellions could not kill it. That's part of the reason why Hellions are here, and something you'll see in Korea every once in a while is spine crawlers walking up with the creep tumor so that Hellions can't just kill them easily. So we've yet to see kind of that hit the American server quite yet, but oh, these Zerglings and Overlord are so close to seeing this expansion. That's so smart of the Muslim to hide it right there. The chances of that getting scouted are so low. And he's going to, again, just continue to get further and further ahead. He's at 101 to 85 supply at a time where he should not be ahead in supply. These mutas are going to catch these Hellions out here, but the Hellions are fast enough. EG'Idra's going to surround and kill all these Hellions, so really nice planning there out of EG'Idra with those Zerglings. Here comes the Mulus moving up here. There's a big supply depot wall, and EG'Demuslim weirdly opening and closing it. These Zerglings just kind of suicide their way in. Not really sure what that was all about, but EG'Idra just needs more gas income. He's only sitting at about 100 gas right now. He's finally taking his third. He's not opting to take it here at the rocks. So it looks like he does not want to expand to an obvious location, but EG'Demuslim does have a leg up on him. Here's the starport finally coming out for EG'Demuslim. He's going to be able to get medevacs for those Marines, but a small push is going to be pushing out here, a 3-tank, quite hefty number of Marine push for this time in the game. It seems fairly normal, but the problem here for EG'Idra is that EG'Demuslim's follow-up to this is going to be vicious, because EG'Idra has no idea that he's mining from that extra base yet. And to him, this still looks fairly normal. So a little bit of a mistake here. EG'Idra transferring out drones. EG'Demuslim probably noticed that, but if he didn't, he should consider himself fortunate. Marines getting brave, pressing up here. The mutas, rather, do push them away. There were a few banelings here that were morphing that the Marines were trying to deny, and they may have gotten one. But EG'Idra now just has to be patient, find the right time to engage. The mutas are just going to walk right past his forces and just intercept reinforcing Marines, but EG'Demuslim is not reinforcing this at all. So joke's on them, I suppose. Tanks now leapfrogging their way up. EG'Idra just needs to stay patient. No, he just decides to go and run right into this meat grinder of tanks. He does kill a few Marines here and there. There's still a lot of Zerglings on the field, but I was just way too early. There's still 1 tank and a bunch of Marines on the field, but with some good patient control, as soon as this tank unsieges, EG'Idra should be able to clean this up. So decent job of being able to handle that, even though I felt he pushed out just a tiny bit too early. EG'Demuslim's still not mining gas from this expansion, so he's not going to have the kind of gas income you would want on 3 bases, but all these extra minerals are going to need a ton of Marines. Here come the mutas coming in here for a little bit of harassment, but EG'Demuslim does have some units just standing by. He doesn't sim his whole force, which is really smart. Something that Demuslim does not get enough credit for is just handling situations basically exactly how they should be handled. He only stimmed about 8 Marines as opposed to stimming the whole thing when he doesn't have medevacs out. So it's very smart. Something that a lot of people just don't think about. Here's his Zergling wings finally knocking down those rocks. And the drone just patiently waiting, saying, you guys can do your job and then you can get out of the way so that I can do mine. So EG'Idra is plopping a hatchery down in the middle of all those Zerglings. His third is now up and mining, but he does not have both of his gas geysers yet. Demuslim is now going for Thors to push off those muta numbers. Here come the mutas back in the base. They're going to deny a reactor, or no, they're actually going to get pushed off instead. One missile turret is going to kill one of these mutas, maybe even two. No, one muta does get away. So EG'Idra taking fairly minimal losses, but more importantly keeping Demuslim pinned in his base while he tries to get this extra hatchery established and get the gas mining off of there so he can grab infestors or even his hive tech as soon as possible. Again, EG'Idra has no idea about this third base. You can see to him it's just nothing, but in reality that's what it actually is. So Demuslim is now grabbing a ton of upgrades here. You can see that extra gas income kind of starting to kick in, or rather it will start kicking in here in just a second as soon as those geysers are being mined from. EG'Idra's getting +2 melee attacks. His infestation pit is on the way, as we can see here in his main base is starting right here. I would imagine it's just going to be for a fast hive and straight into Broodlords if he can help it. So if this all rings true, Demuslim should be going for ghosts here in the next little while. Basically as soon as he gets this extra gas income, which he's only mining from one, or rather one SCV is mining from these bases. Demuslim needs to take a fourth as well, which he's preemptively setting up with turrets. He needs to just grab it now and while he's pushing out. So here comes the Thor. That's a ton of Marines. Only a few siege tanks once again. So if EG'Idra just had a lot of Banelings or a lot of Zerglings, he would be forcing Demuslim to micro the crap out of his Marines to get the most out of them. Demuslim now pressing up here. He's going to catch all these Banelings morphing. And oh, that is brutal for EG'Idra. You just usually want to cancel those. So all those Banelings did not do anything. He's losing a lot of Overlords. Here come the Marines pressing up here as well. He's going to be shooting out of the sky a ton of Mutalisks. There's a lot of Spine Crawlers coming up here and a bunch of Banelings morphing behind it. EG'Idra just kind of got caught with his pants down with his push. So Demuslim, again, like I was saying, the follow-up is going to be vicious. Look at that nice Marine splitting. The Banelings do a decent job of killing all these, but there's still a lot of Marines on the field and not a ton of mutas to help clean this up. So the Marines are going to stem up here, probably kill this hatchery, no problem. This egg is tanking a ton of damage. All the drones do come off the line, as we can see EG'Idra trying desperately to clean these Marines up, and he just barely might. Ooh, these mutas are just barely holding this off with their +1 attack, but EG'Idra does lose a lot of drones. All these medevacs are now susceptible though, so EG'Idra probably feeling pretty good about cleaning all that up. And Demuslim is now kind of falling a little bit behind compared to where he was. This command center, I think, is just a couple minutes late. Look how funny this is. Look how close these two bases are for each other, and neither one of them knows it's there. So you can see Demuslim, oh, there's nothing there, and EG'Idra, yeah, oh, there's nothing there either. So kind of funny. They're both expanding right toward each other and not even noticing. Zergling is now checking around, and if he had a Zergling actually on patrol at this extra base, he would get over here, see these mineral patches, and just say, oh no, this has been here for a long time. But the supplies, coincidentally enough, are now even. EG'Idra is at 146, Demuslim at 142. I feel like his Marine upgrades are a little bit behind as well, as this other engineering bay is not spinning, and he does have some gas to burn. So right as I say that, he does start +3 weapons. Yeah, this is really going to come down to if EG'Idra can get his hive operational and get enough stuff out to deal with what Demuslim has on the field. And yes, you can see the hive is now starting. So if he gets Broodlords out here, he should be in decent shape, and I don't see any ghost committal here out of Demuslim. He does have a couple of naked barracks so that he can get the ghosts up as soon as possible. Look how many turrets Demuslim has. There's 4 here, 2 in his mineral line. There's like 5 or 6 over here. Yeah, 5. A whole bunch more here at his natural, 3. Another huge push out of Demuslim, as we can see. This is a 4 siege tank and a ton of Marines. Demuslim is maxed, whereas EG'Idra is not, and EG'Idra's income is just slightly lagging behind. He does have a few mutas still rallying here. That's going to put him at about 30 mutas, which is about critical mass. Here comes some Zerglings trying to flank, and if they get these tanks, that's going to be huge. A lot of mutas flying into a bunch of Marines, but they want to pick off these tanks the best they possibly can. There's now only 5 tanks in this push as opposed to 7, so it's a little bit more manageable. but EG'Idra is in a lot of trouble here, getting pinned back in his natural. A few Marines do stim up here to see what's going on. They're shelling this expansion as well as some other sides. EG'Idra is ready with a flank on his mutas, but he's going to fly right into some stim Marines, and EG'Idra is going to lose all these mutas if he straight up engages that, but look at these nice banding hits over on the other side. So EG'Idra going for a sandwich. He's just really like pasting everything together with that kindergarten level pace. It just doesn't seem like it's going to hold up for very much longer. But EG'Idra does press up here, kill the natural. A bunch of broodlings are coming in here, and he's purposefully staying out of the range of his tanks so that he doesn't take friendly fire too badly from that. All these drones are now distance mining this macro hatchery. So you can see mutas are now trying to intercept reinforcement. Well, it's so many Marines coming out, 11 Marines coming out at a time. I just don't think that EG'Idra can deal with this push. So here comes the kind of the last push out here from EG'Idra. He's trying to micro his bandits perfectly. Look at these huge detonations he's getting off on all these Marines. But even still, all these mutas just explode, as we can see there, and EG'Idra is just running out of stuff. And EG'Idra just leads the game without saying good game. So customary, standard EG'Idra stuff. And man, if you went back and watched this replay, you would see that Demuslim had a full mining base on top of EG'Idra that EG'Idra had no idea about. So that's the point where you try as hard as you can to kick yourself in the butt, because it's the only way that you will be able to justify you missing that kind of thing. So yeah, pretty standard game here for both of these players, but it just goes to show that if you can hide a base like this, you're going to get a ton of extra income. And Demuslim mostly use that income just for extra barracks. You can see there's a ton of barracks here, but like 6 of them are reactored. So if you can pump out 12 Marines at a time, that's a lot of production. You can just constantly flood Marines at your opponent, especially +3 attack Marines, which is just about finished. There's really not a lot that Zergs can do to hold that off until they get infestors out, which EG'Idra surprisingly skipped. So yeah, pretty standard game there. They might just be trying certain different things out that we didn't pick up on, considering a lot of times when they practice together, they will just be practicing very specific things. Look at this lovely bird over the top of this terrible creep. So yeah, thanks for watching that game. I'll be back with more broadcasts here in the near future, so stay tuned. I'll see you guys later.